Hey guys, Chad from Stick's blog, Stick. I want to do another comparison video. Behind me I've got two tents I'm going to compare. And just like in one of my previous videos, these are two tents that I actually had my eye on for a while whenever I was getting another two-person tent, a more traditional two-person tent. The two tents I have behind me, just to let you know, over here I've got the Big Agnes Copper Spur UL2. And then over here on my left is the MSR Carbon Reflex 2. Again, I just want to say thanks to Hiking Shoes sitting over here playing on his iPad, spitting out sunflower seeds, giving the peace sign like he's a hippie. Just in case you want to know too, he's got Secret Service on his iPad. But anyway, you can thank Hiking Shoes for giving me the opportunity to set this tent up and kind of do a side-by-side comparison. Again, I just want to say that I'm not trying to say that either one of these tents are necessarily better than the other tent. I'm going to go back to the whole thing where it just depends on your own personal preferences, your own needs, what it is that you're looking for between these two tents. I'm going to say that whenever I was looking at them, I went with the Big Agnes Copper Spur, and I'll kind of get to some of the reasons why I did that in just a little bit. But to begin with, I want to start with the listed MSRP. The MSR, it's a lot of initials. MSR Carbon Reflex 2 is listed at $499. The Big Agnes Copper Spur UL2 is listed at $399. So obviously this one is $100 cheaper than this one. I can't remember as far as weight, according to the REI listed specs, this one has a trail weight, which trail weight they list as the body, the fly, and the poles. No stuff sacks or no tent stakes are included in that weight. They list the MSR Carbon Reflex 2 at 3 pounds even. The same with the Copper Spur, the tent body, the fly, and the poles is listed at 3 pounds 1 ounces. So by that spec, the MSR Carbon Reflex wins that battle. Now, as far as interior space, floor space, width, and height, I'm going to be honest, I can't remember those right off the top of my head. I may edit those and just kind of list them down at the bottom here. Then again, I may not. If you're interested, you can probably just go and check it out on the website. In my opinion, floor specs are something that can't really be trusted anyway, just because there's more to actual interior space than just what's on the floor. So honestly, I'm not really too worried about those. Now I want to point out one thing about both these tents. With the Copper Spur, I don't know if you can tell in this picture, but the Copper Spur starts out wider at the head end, and as it comes towards the foot, it tapers. And I'm wanting to say there's about a 10-12 inch taper somewhere in there. I can't remember exactly, like I said, I'm not sure on the specs. With the MSR Carbon Reflex 2, there's no taper whatsoever. It's the same width at the head that it is at the foot. And I'm going to say that that is very attractive to me. I really like that over the Copper Spur. Another thing that I want to point out that you may be able to notice, looking at the Copper Spur, you can see, like I said, floor space, they say it's got this much floor space. Well, what they don't tell you is, yeah, it's got that much floor space, but look at how much arch there is going in. It comes back out at the top, kind of widens up headroom at the top, but in the middle, it really squeezes. And I'm going to admit, two people sitting in there side by side this way, you can really feel that squeeze. I found that it's better if you sit one in front of the other this way, one at the head, one closer towards the foot. As far as interior headspace, I'm perfectly happy with the amount of interior headspace, and I know it's hard to tell looking at this angle, but in my opinion it looks like the headspace may be about the same. Like I said, I think the biggest difference as far as interior space is going to be this one is it tapers towards the foot, and it also tapers in the middle, whereas this one doesn't have any taper whatsoever. The only place this one really tapers is going to be at the head and the foot end, and if you'll look, there's actually not a whole lot of taper. Now I will say that the way that's designed is there is actually some taper on the sides. It's the middle that's almost straight up and down. However, that does actually create a pretty good of space. That opens up a lot of space the way they've done that. The way this is done, the whole foot kind of slowly tapers. There's not much of a taper at all at the head end actually, and I'm really happy about that. One other thing that I want to point out about these tents, well, I want to say the pole configurations are almost very similar, at least in the fact that they use this crossbar. The MSR Carbon Core Reflex, they call it the Carbon Core Reflex because it uses a carbon fiber pole. Whereas the Big Agnes Copper Spur, it uses an aluminum. I believe it's a Featherlight NSL or something like that pole. But anyway, this one uses carbon fiber poles. And actually the setup, I think, is easier on this. Not that it's hard on that one, but it's easier on this because you just put this one pole together. It's a long pole, and then you put this short pole together. After you guy out all four corners, which is the same way you would do with that, after you guy those corners out, all you do is you connect the poles into each end in the center, and then connect that up the top. And it actually goes together, it goes up really fast in my opinion, especially with two people. But don't get me wrong, one person can do it just fine. Same way with over here. The only difference over here is this has got hubs. It's got a hub on the foot end and a hub on the head end. And you can see it actually comes out. Now you do this the same way. You connect these in the four corners, of course, other than in the two sides or the two ends. But what's cool about this one over this one is this actually gives you a freestanding tent, whereas this one doesn't. It is freestanding, don't get me wrong, but whenever you put just this center pole in, you're going to have all this sagging in. Of course, you're going to have this sagging in over here too. So really on both of these tents, that cross pole really does, really benefits a lot. One other thing I want to point out is the doors. The Carbon Reflex 2, it's got one big door on one side, and then the other side it's got this little slit. And Charlie says that's where he gets out. But no, he said he uses this to open up and obviously get into his vestibule area so he can store his packs and everything over there. That way he's got this door over here for him to enter and exit out of the tent. Whereas with this one, it's actually got a door on both sides. Also with this one, the vestibule space, as you'll see in just a little bit when I put the flies on, the vestibule space is the same size on both sides of these tents. And last night when he was setting this one up, that's one thing I noticed, was the vestibule space on this one side was just a little bit smaller than it was on this side. However, it was still plenty big enough, in my opinion, to accommodate at least two people's packs and stuff like that if you don't want to put them inside the tent. But the same goes for over here. With the two vestibules on each side, there'll be plenty of storage space. I do want to say, of course, I haven't slept in this tent. He has, and he's slept with friends in this tent. And he has easily been able to sleep two people in this tent. And I've slept with my wife in this tent, and we easily fit two in here also. But I still agree that this one's going to be more snug than that one. Some things that aren't really that important, as you can see inside here, at each little corner over there, you've got little pockets that are built in. You've got some over here on this side too. And it doesn't look like there's any pockets up top. Whereas with this one, it's got the pockets built in right over there. It's got another one built in that corner there, and then same way for over here. So both of them have 4 pockets. Not that I really care about that. One thing going back to the doors, I want to say this one is a D-shaped door. Or not really a D shape, but it kind of opens up this way, whereas these open up this way and it falls down. To be honest, that's a little bit annoying when that falls down, especially if it's all nasty and muddy outside. So you want to try and make sure those doors fall on the inside so they don't get all nasty and muddy. One other thing I want to point out, the bathtub floor on these, both of them, as you can tell, have bathtub floors. It looks like his actually has a solid bathtub floor in it. There are no seams along the inside. Well, I'll take it back. It looks like there's a seam that runs along the edge there on both sides. On this one, the only seam is right here. And of course, both of these come factory taped, so you don't have to worry about doing any kind of sealing to any of them. But anyway, that's about it, I think. I'm going to go ahead and put the flies on these and just do a little bit more video and show you what it looks like with the flies on them. So hang on just a second. Okay guys, I got the flies thrown up on them. Just kind of give you a walk around and look. First off, this is the Carbon Reflex here. You can see how much vestibule space there is there. Real quick, you can see this one. And then you can see, I don't know how well you can see that, he's got his pack over there. You can see there's plenty of room for it to lay down. Of course, if you were going to put 2 in here, it looks like you may have to actually stand them up, but that wouldn't be a problem, I don't think. But anyway, you can see, looks like in there. And then we got this one in here. I don't have a pack in mind, but I could easily fit packs in here. And I want to say the biggest reason, it looks like there's more vestibule space underneath the copper spur than there is up underneath the Reflex 2. But what I want to point out about that too is if you'll look, you can see how steep that one starts to curve in. And that opens up some vertical room in there. And I think that's one reason why it looks like there's more. The fly may actually come out just a little bit farther, but I think that I'm getting most of the room because his is actually straight up and down there. There's not as much curvature in, so it doesn't have as much free vertical room as I do over here. Anyway, one thing we just noticed about his, as you can see, he's got a tie out here and here on both sides, and he's also got a tie out up here on the top where he can pull that out for the fly. And it doesn't look like there's one over here, so I'm not sure about that. But then on this side, he's got the 2 that's over here again. Looking at mine, the only tie-outs that they have, of course, they have the bottom tie-outs like his does, so that you can pull the bottoms out. I haven't done it on mine. But you can pull that out on both sides. And then it's just got 2 tie-outs back here on either side of the fly, so you could really tape this thing down. So I'm going to say that you'd want to have this end into the wind, since the tie-outs are over here. But it kind of seems, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems a little counterintuitive to put this huge, flat, more vertical side into the wind than it would be this side that's got a little bit more of a slope to it, not quite as much surface area. That would be directly into the wind. So I don't know, you'd think, we were talking about, you'd think that there'd be one right there at that corner at least that you could pull out, but there's not. But anyway, this is pretty much them with their flies. You can see, not really a whole lot to say about either. Both of them are pretty similar tents, I think. Both of them are really nice tents. Also, looking at mine, you can tell this side, since I've got these doors closed on this side, it's not pulled out quite as much as it is on this side. So like I said, that's kind of giving the illusion that there's a little more space up under this one as well. But anyway, that's it. The MSR Carbon Reflex 2, Big Agnes Copper Spur UL2. Both of them great tents, pretty close. Like I said, this one's about $100 more, but it's also 1 ounce lighter according to the listed specs. In my opinion, there's more room, interior room in this one, even though it may have a smaller listed floor dimensions than that one does. Both of them, though, made by great companies. MSR, super company. Big Agnes, they're of course one of the leaders in tents, super company there. I'd have no issues about recommending tents from either company if you're looking for something similar to these. So anyway guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this little comparison. Like I said, I'm not trying to say that one's better than the other. I do want to say the reason I went with the Copper Spur, and like I was telling Hiking Shoes just a while ago, is because one of the things that I wanted in the 2-person tent was I wanted doors on both sides. And while he claims that he gets out of this little slit on this side, I didn't like that for a whole door. I'm just joking, he doesn't really do that. But anyway, that was my biggest thing, reason why I went with this. To be honest, another reason was price. Like I said, that one's less expensive than this one, so that did also have some influence over my decision. But I would be happy, honestly, if both of these tents were the same price. To be honest, I would have a hard time figuring out which one I wanted. But, you know, I've got what I've got. I'm happy with it. I look forward to using it for quite a while. I know that Hiking Shoes has used his tent for, what, about 1.5 years now? Yep. Yeah, 1.5 years, and he's really enjoyed having his. He says he loves this thing. Is there anything else you want to say about your tent?
I do. If you notice the pack, it's on the inside there, where I don't go out that door, by the way. And, but if you got 2 people in there,
yeah,
I have stored a backpack there and on my side also when you come in.
So you still split them?
Yeah, and also I have in the past put 2 backpacks in each side, and I still had room to get out.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it really works out for him. But anyway, guys, I appreciate you watching. If you have any comments, questions, like always, feel free to post them at the bottom of this post or video. and I'll do my best to get back to you and answer any of the questions you have or reply to the comments you may have. And guys, I just appreciate you watching. See you next time.